So Senator Rand Paul is a libertarian, and he loves to compare countries with socialized medicine, such as Canada, with Venezuela. Now, he's also the guy that doesn't mind getting care in Canada. Now, earlier it's been reported that the Louisville Courier Journal said that Rand Paul will be now traveling to Canada to get surgery on a hernia. Oh, now this is an interesting story, and there's parts of it, of course, that are not getting reported, and so I'm going to go through and I'm going to touch on those areas to make sure that we get the full story here. But first, the Courier Journal discovered that Rand Paul is scheduled to have a hernia operation at the Shouldes Hernia Hospital in Thornhill, Ontario, next week. Now, that's according to documents filed in the senator's civil lawsuit against his neighbor who attacked him last year and left him with 6 broken ribs and a bruised lung. So that was a vicious attack, and I don't agree with people attacking him. But why was he using his government-sponsored healthcare to take care of those, by the way? I mean, if he doesn't believe in government, then why would he use his government-sponsored healthcare that he gets in order to do that? He should go out and shop around for private insurance. I'm just saying. But anyway, okay. That aside, the question is, why is he going to Canada? Isn't he an American? Now, I mean, aren't we number one in healthcare in the world? Don't people from every other country want to come here for our excellent standards of healthcare? Well, apparently not Rand Paul. And again, going to Canada with its socialized medicine? Isn't that supposed to be a horrible thing? Again, that's not me saying that. That's Rand Paul. Rand Paul attacked Canada's healthcare system and socialized medicine in general as slavery. He said, with regard to the idea whether or not you have a right to healthcare, it means you believe in slavery. So believing that everyone has a right to have healthcare, that is somehow the same as indentured servitude slavery. Okay, right? Now, he said, you are going to enslave not only me, but the janitor at my hospital. Your janitor that probably doesn't have health care. The person who cleans my office, the assistants, the nurses. You are basically saying you believe in slavery. Slavery, guys, slavery. Hey, you know what real freedom is? It's dying because you can't afford insulin, because insulin prices have shot up. Freedom. America. So obviously, Rand Paul has no problem going to a country that is filled with slaves in order to get his treatment for his hernia. I mean, Canada. Now, of course, the hernia operation, and here's where the caveat comes in, and what a lot of people are not reporting. This will be at the world-renowned Shouldes Hernia Hospital in Thornhill, Ontario. That hospital, according to its website, is the only licensed hospital in the world dedicated to repairing hernias. So it is the top of the top, the elite of hernia surgery. And you know, Rand Paul, well, he wants to get the best of the best, right? Now, that hospital is also privately funded and operated. So it's kind of sitting outside of the socialized healthcare system, to be fair. Now, Kelsey Cooper, a spokesman for Rand Paul, told The Hill that, quote, this is a private world-renowned hospital, separate from any system, and people come from around the world to pay cash for their services. So how much in cash will he pay for this service? Well, this hernia procedure is likely to cost between $5,000 and $8,000, according to the Courier Journal. Well, it must be nice to be able to afford $5,000 for surgery in cash. Real nice, right? Now, the question is, though, this is a private hospital operating in Canada. But how can this place operate within a socialist hellscape known as Canada? And I'm sorry, it is a frozen socialist hellscape. Different from some of the hotter hellscapes where we have socialism, like Venezuela. Now, it's privately funded, but doesn't socialism destroy everyone's private property? I mean, again, turn on Fox News. I got a segment later where he's like, where this guy on Fox News is like, Socialism. It's where they come in and they take all your private property and they destroy it. And they redistribute it to everybody else. Well, wait a minute. That's not what's happening here. That's not at all what's happening here. Again, private hospital, socialized medicine in the country. Wait a minute. Shouldn't they have literally taken this private property and given it up to everybody or to the government? No, because it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what a single-payer system actually is. And what socialism is, by the way. But anyway, the thing is, if Canada is a socialist country, they're doing a pretty bad job at it. Now look, everybody is covered in healthcare when it comes to Canada. Now there are significant gaps in their healthcare system, but it significantly rates higher than the United States when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to costs, and when it comes to outcomes. Now, anyway, in this supposed socialist system, look, the system that they have in Canada, where you just basically have government insurance, doesn't mean you can't have places operated for profit or have private property. So those of you who believe that misinformation on Canada is ridiculous. You know, you're not paying attention to actual reality. Not only that, but the argument that Paul and many libertarians have is that under a Canadian-style healthcare system, there will be no doctors, there will be no specialists, and actually the specialists and everybody flee the country. Again, they say that, well, if you have single payer here, everybody's going to flee America. There will be no doctors left. And then you'll have massive wait times and everything will be terrible. Well, again, that's a ridiculous argument. It's not true. It's as dumb and as wrong as saying that universal healthcare is slavery. Wait. Who just said that? Oh, right. Look, Canada actually has great doctors. The Netherlands has great doctors. Norway, Sweden, Finland, the UK, they all have great doctors. And they all have single-payer healthcare systems. Now, is that system absolutely perfect? No. And look, in a lot of those places, there are higher waiting times in America. But then again, in America, if you don't have insurance, then, well, how long's a wait time? I mean, how long of a wait time is never being able to see a doctor because you can't afford it? I would say that's a pretty long wait time, but that doesn't get counted. But anyway, so one more thing, right? Now, people like Rand Paul love to point out the medical tourism from the United States, or to the United States from Canada, right? It appears that it's the other way around this time. Like, many wealthier Canadians, or some wealthier Canadians, do come, or might consider coming to the U.S. for elective treatments due to some of the wait times, right? But what's interesting is there also apparently seems to be a little bit of a growing demand, not a huge demand. It was somewhere around 500 to 600 between 2011 and 2015. Americans, or I should say, Americans coming to Canada for treatments, mostly like related to cardiac, cardiovascular surgery, things like that. So, and look, is there a reason for that sort of reverse medical tourism? Yeah, things are cheaper in Canada. But anyway, now since the hospital that Rand Paul is going to actually has little price difference than its counterparts in America, the fact that he's telling American doctors to basically F off is very interesting. He's actually choosing Canadian doctors because they have a higher standard of care. That is another thing that they say people in socialized systems aren't actually able to have. Oh no, if you're in a socialized healthcare system, you have lower standards of care. But no, that's not what's going on at all. So that's a very interesting move for someone who regularly attacks Canadian healthcare to actually come in and use Canadian healthcare. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality. which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.